Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's squeeze every single pixel out of Jason and Lucia. Let's look at the body language first, because Rockstar animators are telling us a massive story before we even touch a controller. In past GTA covers, characters are isolated in their own little comic book boxes. They stand alone, flexing their wealth or their guns. But here, Jason and Lucia are physically intertwined. Look at Jason's left arm. It is wrapped completely around Lucia's back, pulling her in tight against his chest. They are literally leaning on each other for support. This is the us against the world dynamic, fully realized in a single image. They aren't just partners in a heist crew. This is a deeply intimate, protective stance. If you are writing a script or mapping out the narrative arcs for this game, this is your visual benchmark. They operate as a single bonded unit. Now, let's talk hardware and history. Look at Jason. He's wearing a heavily textured, ribbed white tank top. If you look closely, you can actually see the fabric tension stretching across his chest and the subtle rendering of chest hair peeking over the collar. The Rage 9 engine character modeling is absurdly detailed, but look at his right hand. He is holding a heavy-duty, two-tone, semi-automatic pistol. The slide is a brushed silver, and the lower receiver is matte black. It looks heavily inspired by a modern 1911 or a high-caliber heavy pistol. And once again, look at his index finger. Strict professional trigger discipline. His finger is resting flat on the receiver, completely off the trigger. Notice his eyes. He isn't looking at the gun to show it off, and he isn't looking at Lucia. His brow is furrowed, and his eyes are locked onto a threat off camera to the left. He is scanning. He is on guard. This visually confirms the lore that Jason has military experience before running with drug cartels in the Leonida Keys. He is the muscle, the tactical anchor, and he is actively shielding her. Now, let's shift to Lucia, because the contrast in her body language is everything. While Jason is locked into a threat in front of them, Lucia's body is angled away, and she is looking back over her right shoulder. They are literally covering all angles. Let's nitpick the character design. She is wearing a simple, thin-strapped black camisole. Look at her jewelry. She's rocking massive, thick gold hoop earrings that catch the sunset lighting perfectly, and a very delicate, thin gold chain around her neck. This isn't the hyper-glamorous, diamond-studded luxury we saw on the Kingpin in the bottom panel. This is gritty, street-level, Leonida style. Look at her hair. It's tied back in a messy high ponytail, with loose strands realistically framing her cheek and forehead, caught in the humid Vice City wind. The dynamic hair physics are on full display here, but it's her eyes that tell the real story. Look at her expression. She isn't panicked, she isn't crying or cowering behind Jason. She looks exhausted, stoic, and incredibly calculating. She just got out of the Leonida penitentiary, and she is done playing games. Finally, look at the framing behind them. We have the classic, towering silhouetted palm trees set against a vibrant, heavily saturated pink, purple, and orange sunset. It is the quintessential Vice City aesthetic. Rockstar placed them dead center of this 9-panel grid for a massive reason. If you look at the whole cover, they are completely surrounded by the extreme wealth of the scissor door supercars and the extreme violence of the tactical bank heists and swamp alligators. They are physically trapped in the middle, holding on to each other with a single gun between them, trying to survive the absolute meat grinder that is the Leonida state. Every single detail in this panel proves that this isn't just a game about stealing cars. It's a character-driven survival story. Now, we move to the middle right. This panel alone confirms the endgame of the Leonida criminal economy. Look at this guy, officially confirmed in the roster as veteran operator Raul Bautista. At first glance, he's just a mobster rocking the classic Vice City aesthetic, a crisp white suit over a vibrant purple shirt with an Art Deco patterned tie. But zoom in on his left ear. He is wearing a tactical acoustic tube earpiece. This is a massive, massive key. This isn't a commercial Bluetooth headset. This implies coordinated multi-person crew operations. If you're building a faction or writing the script for a crew, this is what Tier 1 communication looks like. Active linked radio mechanics are going to be a gameplay pillar. Now, pan down to the weapon. This is where it gets crazy. This assault rifle is deeply modified. We are looking at a custom M-lock style handguard, replacing the standard Picatinny rails. Look at the optic, a highly detailed holographic red dot sight seated on a riser mount. Why a riser mount? Because if you wear a bulky ballistic mask during a robbery, the sight needs to be elevated so your character can actually aim down the sights in first-person mode. Look at the magazine. It's a polymer windowed mag. You can literally see the brass casings inside, and do not miss the wear and tear around the ejection port. The black finish is scratched, exposing the silver steel underneath. This is a massive indicator that the weapon degradation and maintenance mechanics from Red Dead Redemption 2 are returning. In fact, this specific weapon model strongly resembles the Duke assault rifle, a massive brand crossover from the RDR2 universe into the HD GTA timeline. Look at how he's holding it. He is utilizing a professional modified C-clamp grip thumb wrapped over the top of the rail to manage recoil. As your shooting stat increases, your physical stance is going to visually evolve. Finally, look at the glass behind him. The gold lettering reads National Bank, pointing to the Vice International Bank. Look closely at the faint red and blue ambient light reflecting off the tinted window. Those are police strobe lights. This single panel confirms that highly structured tactical vault heists are going to be the absolute peak of the criminal ladder. We have the other side of the high-end criminal coin, Booby Ike. Let's start with the jewelry. Look at his neck. He isn't just wearing a flat, painted-on texture. He is heavily layered in massive, custom gold Miami Cuban link chains. Look at the ambient occlusion, the shadows dropping between each individual link. You can literally see the separation between the chains and his t-shirt. Why is this important? Because in previous iterations of the engine, heavy clothing or chains would clip into the character model the second you started sprinting or taking cover. This artwork is subtly flexing Rockstar's new individual collision physics. These chains have weight. When this character walks, those chains are going to bounce and sit dynamically against his chest. Now, look at the pendants. He's rocking layered pieces, including what looks like solid gold, custom engraved dog tags, and a massive circular medallion. In the criminal underworld, jewelry isn't just an accessory, it's a wearable bank account. It's highly likely that jewelry will act as a physical asset you can pawn, fence, or even have stolen off your neck if you get robbed in the wrong part of Port Gellhorn. Move down to his hand. Look at that heavy gold signet ring on his index finger. If you zoom in and sharpen the image, the mold of the ring is incredibly distinct. It is a lion wearing a crown. Rockstar doesn't do random accessories. A crowned lion is a universal symbol of royalty and apex dominance. Based on the Only in Leonida data drops, this strongly points who literally views himself as the king of the Leonida underground. If you want to move high-tier product or get access to the best fencing networks, this is the guy you're going to have to impress. Now look at the grooming and the face. Look at the lineup on his beard. It is razor sharp. You can see individual hair follicles fading into the skin. This all but confirms that the dynamic real-time hair growth system from Red Dead Redemption 2 has been ported over and modernized. You aren't just picking a beard from a menu, you are maintaining it at high-end barbershops, and check the sunglasses. Thick-rimmed, designer, gradient-tinted shades, but look at the reflection in the lenses. It's blurred, but you can see the distinct streak of bright, neon lighting, likely the interior of a high-end Vice City nightclub or a VIP lounge. The ray-traced reflections aren't just for cars. They are being applied to character accessories to ground them in their environment. Finally, let's talk about the apparel system. Look at the jacket. This isn't cotton or polyester. The lighting engine is explicitly rendering the sheen of pure silk. It's a navy blue bomber jacket, heavily embroidered with intricate gold, Baroque-style patterning, giving massive Versace or high-end designer parody energy. This brings us to the most important gameplay implication of this panel: the respect and heat economy. In GTA 6, what you wear is going to dictate how the world reacts to you. If Jason and Lucia walk into an exclusive Ocean Drive club wearing the gritty, sweat-stained clothes from the top panel, the bouncers are going to throw them out. But if you grind, launder your money, and buy a $10,000 silk jacket and a Rolex parody watch, those doors open. Conversely, if you wear this exact outfit and walk through the mud of the grass rivers or the decaying industrial zones of Ambrosia, you instantly become a target. You are broadcasting your wealth to every street-level faction in the area. This single panel is Rockstar telling us that wealth in Leonida isn't just a number in your Maze bank account anymore. Wealth is physical, it's wearable, it dictates your status, your safety, and your access. If you are planning a server roleplay or plotting your day zero progression, gating luxury assets behind high-level criminal operations is going to be the absolute core of the in-game loop. All right, we've covered the anchors, the heist mechanics, and the high-end wealth. Now, we have to talk about how we actually move through this state. We need to talk about logistics, vehicle culture, and the absolute chaos of the Leonida streets. Rockstar has dedicated 3 massive panels on this cover art exclusively to vehicles. Why? Because the map is gargantuan, the biomes are completely distinct, and you are going to need the exact right tool for the right county. We are going to squeeze every single pixel out of these 3 panels, starting with the absolute peak of the underground tuner scene. Look at this absolute beauty in the bottom left. This is a glorious, bright, yellow Pegassi supercar. For the veterans watching, this is a massive, deliberate callback. The original GTA Vice City cover art famously featured a yellow Infernus, their version of the classic Lamborghini Countach. Rockstar is acknowledging their own history here, but bringing it into the modern, hyper-detailed Rage 9 engine era. But let's get incredibly nitpicky with the customization. Look at the scissor doors. They are fully deployed upward. This isn't just a cool static pose. It highlights advanced vehicle state animations. In GTA 5, doors were basically just flaps. Here, the hydraulic struts and the interior door paneling are fully rendered. Move down to the front bumper. Look at the aerodynamic kit. That front splitter isn't color match plastic. It is textured, woven carbon fiber. Notice how unbelievably low it sits to the pavement. In older engines, a car this low would clip through curbs and glitch out the physics. This suggests that the suspension physics, the tire compression, and the collision mesh systems have been entirely rebuilt to handle true low-stance tuner setups. Look at the rims. Intricate, custom 2-tone alloy wheels wrapped in aggressive, low-profile tires. And look at where it's parked. The background gives us a clear look at the neon-drenched Ocean Drive-inspired strip. But if you upscale the image and look just behind the open scissor door, you can make out the pastel architecture and a neon sign. Based on recent data drops, this strongly resembles the newly confirmed Atoll Bar and Grill. This means the tuner scene isn't just happening in dark garages, it's happening right on the main drag. The wealth is hyper-visible. Now let's completely flip the script and go from the billionaire neon strip to the absolute grit of the asphalt. The bottom right panel, the street takeover. This isn't just a vehicle, it's a dynamic world event. The rider is mounted on what is clearly the new Principe Alvino FIV1. We saw Jason riding a green variant in earlier leaks, but this rider has customized theirs in a massive synthwave aesthetic, vibrant pink and deep purple plastics. Let's look at the mechanics of what is actually happening in this frame. The rider is pulling a flawless 12 o'clock wheelie. But look at the back wheel. That is not a stock sprocket. That is a massive, oversized rear stunt sprocket designed specifically for low-end torque to pull the front wheel up instantly. This confirms that vehicle performance tuning isn't just about making cars go faster in a straight line. You are modifying the actual torque distribution for stunting. Look at the rider. He's wearing a specialized motocross helmet, a graphic tee, and his dreadlocks are physically whipping in the wind, another massive flex of the new dynamic hair physics engine. The bike is covered in sponsored decals, including a massive DLK logo across the side fairing. But he isn't just showing off, he is actively running. Look behind him. That is a heavily redesigned, vapid police cruiser, the VCPD Interceptor. Let's nitpick the law enforcement tech. The front light clusters and the lower grille vents have been completely redesigned from the Los Santos variants to look much more aggressive. But the biggest detail is on the roof. That is a modern, ultra-low profile LED light bar. This entire panel confirms that the real-world Miami dirt bike and ATV street takeover culture is fully realized in Leonida. These won't just be vehicles you buy on your phone. This implies that massive, unorganized swarms of NPCs and players taking over intersections are going to be a rolling, interactable faction. We've talked about the tactical operations and the high-end luxury economy, but now we have to talk about the absolute chaos of the map itself. We are moving away from the concrete and into the grass rivers. Look at the bottom center panel. The alligator. Rockstar officially calls the grass rivers the untamable jewel of Leonida's crown. But this gator isn't just a wildlife placeholder on a poster. Look at the rendering. You can see individual ridges on the scutes down its back, the murky water displacement around its jaw, and the hyper-detailed water lilies floating in the foreground. Why is it positioned dead center at the bottom of the cover? Because in Leonida, nature isn't just a backdrop. It is an active, hostile faction. The swamp bleeds into the city. If you are mapping out your Day Zero server blueprint, you need to understand that hiding bodies or evading the VCPD in the wetlands isn't going to be a safe bet. The ecosystem is designed to hunt you, and sitting directly above the apex predator of the swamp, the absolute pinnacle of the only in Leonida lifestyle, the Vice City socialite. She perfectly captures the collision of this game, the darkest side of the sunniest place in America. This panel is a masterclass in environmental storytelling and brand parody. Let's squeeze every detail out of her. First, look at the drink in her hand. If zoom in 500% on the can, you can clearly read the word thaw. It is a direct, hyper-accurate parody of a White Claw hard seltzer. The can design, the font placement, it's flawless. This confirms that the intricate, satirical brand ecosystem that Rockstar is known for is returning with obsessive detail. Now look at her jewelry and tattoos. Look at her neck. She's wearing a custom gold script necklace that clearly reads Siempre, Spanish for always. Move down to her side. She has a script tattoo reading Vice Baby, and if you look closely at her wrist, you can spot a 305 tattoo. For those who don't know, 305 is the real-world area code for Miami. Rockstar is blurring the lines between Leonida and the real world heavier than ever before. Look at her top. That specific shade of turquoise isn't random. It perfectly matches the official colors of the Leonida Vice City Manatees, the in-universe parody of the Miami Dolphins NFL team that we caught a glimpse of in trailer 2. Clothing is going to be heavily tied to regional sports and local culture. And where is she standing? Look at the background art behind her, that pastel building with the neon signage. That is the Atoll Bar and Grill. This is a brand new location we haven't seen in any trailer. It confirms that the Ocean Drive strip is going to be packed with completely new, fully modeled interior establishments. Finally, look at the top right. We have a top-down view of a speedboat tearing through the coastal waters. But this isn't just any boat. If you look at the hull lines, this is a Clarion speedboat, the exact same brand we saw zooming past the massive cargo ship in trailer 1. But look above the boat, a pink flamingo flying perfectly parallel to the wake. This isn't just aesthetic composition. Rockstar is showing off their dynamic animal, AI. The wildlife, from the alligators in the swamp to the birds in the sky, will actively react to engine noise, player proximity, and world physics. When you put these 3 panels together, you get the complete picture of Leonida's open world. You have the hyper-superficial, clout-chasing influencer culture sipping hard seltzers at the Atoll Bar, surrounded entirely by a brutal, untamed ecosystem that wants to eat them. We've analyzed the customized weapons, the heavy jewelry, the tuned vehicles, and the lethal wildlife. But if you want to understand the overarching infrastructure of this game, you have to stop looking at the individual characters and start looking at the master key, the color, the composition, and the branding. Let's start with the grid itself, the 9-panel layout. This is Rockstar's signature. They have used this comic book panel style since GTA 3, but there is a massive deliberate shift in how it's executed here. In GTA 5, every panel had wildly different color schemes, harsh greens, flat yellows, deep blues, and dusty oranges. It was a fragmented look for a fragmented city. But look at the Leonida cover. It is entirely dominated by a strict, suffocating palette of heavy magenta and electric turquoise. The pastel hues bleed through every single panel. The pink sky behind the helicopter perfectly matches the pink plastics on the stunt bike. The turquoise water under the speedboat matches the socialite's top. The purple lighting behind the bank robber matches the twilight gradient behind the dirt bike. This isn't just an aesthetic choice, it is a unifying visual layer. Rockstar is telling us that whether you are pulling a high-stakes heist at Vice International Bank or getting eaten by a reptile in the grass rivers, the humid, neon-drenched atmosphere of Vice City is inescapable. It permeates the entire state. Now, I need you to look at the logo. Really look at it, because Rockstar just quietly broke a branding tradition they've held for almost 2 decades. Look at the placement of the 6. In GTA 4 and GTA 5, the Roman numeral was placed proudly at the bottom right of the text, distinctly separate and standalone. But here, the massive pastel gradient VI is placed behind the Grand Theft Auto text. It is framing the words, not following them. Why does this matter? Rebranding and scale. Placing the numeral behind the text shifts the focus away from the number and back to the franchise name itself. It suggests that this isn't just another numbered sequel. It is the definitive, ongoing platform for the HD universe moving forward. The sheer size of the VI framing the background also subtly hints at the overwhelming scale of the game. The state of Leonida is literally larger than the title itself. And that brings us to the visual trap. Look at how Jason and Lucia are positioned. They are perfectly centered, anchoring the entire top half of the cover. But notice the composition of the panels surrounding them. On the left side of the cover, we have the amphibious helicopter, the Vice City socialite, and the high-end scissor door Pegassi supercar. On the right side, We have the tactical bank robber, the fleeing stunt biker, and the cartel kingpin. Jason and Lucia are visually wedged right between the extreme, unbothered luxury of Vice City and the high-heat, violent reality of the Leonida underground. They are quite literally slicing the logo in half. Look at their eyes. Lucia is looking backward toward the left side of the image, the luxury, the supercar, the wealth. Jason is looking toward the right, the tactical gear, the heist, the threat. When you put it all together, this isn't just promotional artwork you throw on a shelf. It is a mechanical storyboard. It visually maps out the economy, the hostile environment, the traversal logistics, and the central conflict of the protagonist. If you made it to the end of a 20-minute pixel-by-pixel breakdown of a single JPEG, you are exactly the type of player who understands that the details are what make this world breathe. Thanks for watching and listening, and please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Take care and be well.